man.
Shoot.
Yeah. No, I ain't not Ethiopia. We bought ahead good. All right,
Good,
look.
man. Good.
Yeah, cool. Hey, look, welcome everybody again to the living room with me and Philip and Mark. Again, as usual, what we're going to do is just have a general conversation. You know, we just like to talk, we just like to chat, and every now and then we invite someone in from a different island in the Caribbean or someone from the Caribbean living somewhere else and just have a conversation. Now, at the moment, obviously the conversation that everyone likes is about COVID-19 or Corona. So we just thought, you know, we would speak to people and understand, you know, what's going on in the different islands, how people coping, generally how people feeling, and what's not. These are some tough times. So we just thought, hey, let's just utilize some technology, talk to some friends, get an understanding of what's happening. And we can perhaps share from our experience here in the UK what's happening as well. So we're just going to talk, and then, you know, we're going to have a guest join us, and we're going to continue that conversation. How's it going, guys?
It's going all right.
Pretty good. Have a nice day under the circumstances, I guess.
What circumstances? Man, this is
lockdown.
You know, I think introverts probably having the best time in the world right now.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
I figured out if I'm an introvert or extrovert. I think I start to sway. At the moment, I feel very much like an introvert. I'm loving it.
I love to.
I must say.
Well, nobody would believe this, probably including y'all, but I am actually a huge introvert, actually. And any test, Myers-Briggs, anything I take, tell me how much of an introvert I am. I don't mind my own company, you know, and or company of close friends and stuff, but I'm okay. So I think this time I good.
Okay. I buck the trend a little bit. I don't really consider myself to be an introvert, but you know, I have my moments.
We don't consider introvert.
I do have my moments, you know. I think we all do. You just want to be left alone with your thoughts, and this is an interesting season for that, actually, to do a lot of thinking, you know. And I think that's what I've been doing a lot of, to really try and reflect and think about all the things that you got some space to think about now, and they're not crowded with all the other pressures.
Yeah, I think so. I think use the time under the circumstances. It might not be the best of how the time was kind of imposed on you, but use it to get some reflection, use it to gather your thoughts, think ahead, to get creative, to plot the course or your chart your course, you know, going forward when you come over this time. Not a problem.
Yeah.
Not a problem.
I like it. I like it, man. I have to be honest. I'm not missing getting up and traveling into work. You know?
Tell me about it.
True.
I'm not missing it. Yes, work has been kind of refocused a little bit, and doing it from home. But you get to realize how much the commute does actually take out of you in this season.
Yeah.
How tiring it can be.
Yeah, I agree with that. I hate trying to figure out now how I can just tell everybody, look, I want to work from home now and come in the office 1 or 2 days a week. That is about it. I could deal with that. I don't have a problem with that at all.
Yeah. The other day at work, we were discussing what this gives us an opportunity to do is to look at these 3 aspects of our life: productivity, well-being, and sustainability, which tend to be 3 things that kind of hinge upon each other. You know, if you're doing well, you're more productive.
Yeah.
And if you're more productive and efficient and effective, you're doing better for the earth. You're not, you know, over consuming resources and so on. And again, if you're doing good things for the earth, you're being very cautious with your sustainability and trying to make your processes and your resource consumption more and more efficient. You end up being more productive. And if you're more productive, you feel better about yourself as well.
Well,
I think
No, go ahead.
No, just saying it's a really good time to look at those 3 things in perspective of, you know, working from home, not having to commute, not having to have so much transport on the road is good for the earth. It's good from a well-being perspective to some extent for some people, most people, and it can be arguably good for productivity as well.
Yeah. No, we did it. But the earth's smiling because I saw photos of fish in Venice, people in India finally being able to see the Himalayas from like far distances for the first time in decades.
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff. Well, we got Curtis joining us now. So Curtis from Trinidad, he's going to join us in a minute. So I'm going to bring him in.
Cool.
I haven't seen him for a long time.
Nah.
There he is.
Here's the man.
Hey, good afternoon. What's going on, man?
Are you good? How are you doing, Curtis?
I'm good. Can you guys hear me clearly?
Yeah, we can hear you good, yeah.
I can hear you very clearly.
Okay, awesome. Hey, Mark, what's up?
Blessings to you, man. Blessings to you. You go ahead. You go ahead.
No, I was just greeting everybody. I was just shouting out the whole crew running live on the video, yeah.
Cool, man.
Excellent, man. Listen, it's good to see you, man. It's good to see that you. And I know this must be a really difficult season for a man who is always used to moving. But you always move on your own.
Yeah. But we only have a few days to really bounce back from that kind of feeling. So I'm back, ready to go. So I can tell this story now.
Well, listen. Let me introduce you to the brothers on the line. Welcome to the Caribbean Living Room. You know, during this season, we really think it's important to just see how people across the region are doing and how the experience is going in different territories. So you're on with Andre and Philip, and we're just having a conversation.
Yeah.
How you doing, man? I listen to your music sometimes, so good stuff.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Bless you.
Yeah. No worries at all.
I almost feel like the odd one out here now because I know you guys are all excellent artists in your own right. So I feel a little I feel as though, you know that thing on Sesame Street, one of these things does not belong here.
Oh dear.
Oh, that's good thinking there. Quick thinking there, Caroline. I like that.
Yeah. That's how I feel right now, man. But anyway, listen, Curtis. Let me start with you first of all, personally. Now, how are you feeling personally about the whole situation, and how is your well-being?
Well, as you said before or previously, Mark, if you know me or anybody knows me, I operated British time in the Caribbean, so my life very, very scheduled, on the hour, going non-stop. And with the rise of the whole COVID-19 situation, it was literally like stopping a train in its tracks. And you know how the first trains go. And it was very, very difficult. For a few days, I actually got a lot of headaches, a lot of anxiety. I didn't even know what to do. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what day it was, how to feel. I'm at left where I live, and I went to my parents' place, just to kind of like try to cope with the whole situation. So it was difficult for a few days, because for me, it's business has to shut down. It's everything. It's everything. Ministry, all concerts canceled. I have to be refunding promoters all over. It's a whole lot of different stuff. Yeah, so it was a lot. It was a lot, and still a bit of a lot, but I'm in a better place for sure. And I'm grateful. Yeah, so God is good. That's me, and that's as you get. Yeah.
No, that's a real good insight, actually, because you were mentioning about repaying promoters, so that's even from a business aspect, the impact is hit you. So that's very real, eh?
Oh yeah, definitely. I have staff to take care of at the Music Academy in Trinidad, so I have to be taking care of them and making sure that they are fine. And in the midst of what I'm going through, you know what I mean? So it was much, but it could only develop you. This is not something that we've ever been through. So I think I've grown in the midst of it all. So I appreciate even that moment to grow in the midst of it. Yeah?
With your staff, how have you been keeping in contact with them and maintaining a sense of cohesion that they're still part of the academy? How have you been dealing with that?
The same way how we're talking right now, via Zoom and all those kind of things, WhatsApp applications, because they are also in the midst of what's next, as well as we have started back, but because it's a music academy, we started back online. So a week of training staff of how to do this thing, how to operate it, how to teach in this way. And it was a lot. But as I say, we would have never ventured this direction if the situation didn't happen. So it was a growth moment for everybody.
Yeah, yeah. That's an interesting insight because it does it has changed us in ways that we didn't expect.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what about your wider family, Curtis? You mentioned that you moved back home. I think you said that earlier.
Yeah, I'm basically here now. I'm at my mom's place. My mom, dad, my sister. Yeah. So I had to. So they went to prepare my old bedroom. My bedroom.
He's coming home.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah. It was that. But I'm really grateful because, trust me, because I normally live alone. So my space, me. So having the opportunity to speak to people, laugh, talk, and home cooked meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And then,
real reason.
walk, exercise in the evening with my mom, and all of those things that really adds up and really makes coping a whole lot better. So,
okay.
So one of the things that people talking about all over the world, you see all the different news reports, is around leadership and that kind of stuff. And we talk to a lot of people back in Barbados. So leadership, we look at leadership here. We all live in the UK. Going out Boris Johnson, and we see different types of leadership all over the world, as you know. Generally, how do people in Trinidad feel Prime Minister Rowley have dealt with everything and led you guys with everything?
I think if he calls an election tomorrow, he would win by a landslide, without any reservation. Because even those that were on the fence about his current leadership, they're in a totally different place now because they've never seen him with that kind of composure and that kind of delivery and even vision in the midst of it. So, of course, nobody's perfect, and he's trying his best because he himself has never been in something like this. But the general consensus is there's nobody else would have done a better job at this point in time than him. Yeah?
Or maybe you might have done a better job.
Only one step at a time.
You're looking to turn it into a political broadcast, Curtis.
Talk about the political side of it. There's a little bit of a weird feeling concerning the opposition, where we're seeing a different response from them that is not common anywhere else. You guys can maybe let me know how you guys are dealing with it there. But around the world, I'm seeing more of a come together and get the thing done.
Yeah.
Here we are just the absolute opposite. So bad, I think that she is shooting herself in her leg. That is Kamala Persad-Bissessor, and it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that you'll battle back on, So
yeah, I was reading some of that actually, and I was going, it don't feel like the right time in some of the things being said, to do that, considering what we're going through and the recognition. The recognition that it's new for everybody and everyone's trying to find their way through. There's got to be a way to deal with it, even as an opposition. Yes, you can critique, but you got to make sure it's constructive and it's not in the general way of continuously going against.
I think there are valid points in which she can and how government can literally keep the government on their toes. I don't think that they're really attacking it, but they're attacking the wrong points, and it's looking embarrassing. So that's a very side of what I'm seeing from our side in terms of Trinidad politics and leadership, but it's different outside there. I don't know.
Well, we've just had a new leader of the opposition here in the UK, and I noticed that one of the first things that he was very vocal about was trying to promote this whole idea of national unity. And yes, holding the government to account, absolutely, but trying to do that in a way that is, respecting where we are in the nation at the moment. So I think it's a very important point in opposition around the world globally, how opposition leaders position themselves. For sure.
Yeah, it's interesting.
So let Let me ask you a bit about the measures that have been introduced as part of the response in Trinidad. What kind of measures have the government introduced there, Curtis?
Well, in terms of, you mean dealing with it, dealing with COVID-19, or flattening the curve, or all of the above?
All of the above.
I think from the onset, they were quick on the draw. Now, the first thing that it maybe would have been in a better place if they had started preparing before Carnival, but Carnival is a multi-billion-dollar thing. So for the country to bypass that, and there were thousands of international visitors here for Carnival in February, late February, and from the Italians to Germans to everybody was here. And government refused, first of all, to, I don't know if it was more of a feeling of, nah, it wouldn't get this far.
Yeah.
But right after Carnival, immediately they started clamping down and closing the borders and putting different curfews in place and the lockdown and the whole 9 yards. Well, the implementation so far has been effective because we have had days, well, I've reportedly had days without any infections or new infections or reports. This is like the third or the fourth day out any new reports as tests continue. I think in terms of preparation, we were pretty much prepared in terms of manpower, hospital facilities, and the whole disinfection, all of the detergents and all the masks and the machinery. I think we had a lot of things in place that will have us in a position now where the systems are not overwhelmed by the persons coming in. So I think pretty much okay.
So why is that? Why was Trinidad so prepared in comparison to other places? Was that because you had the privilege of seeing what was going on in Europe, in the UK, in the US before that wave hit Trinidad? Or is there something else in the culture and the politics that's about preparedness?
It's far from the culture. Matter of fact, we would have been better if our culture was different. So I'll get to that point maybe later. But I think it had to do with the economy of Trinidad and Tobago and the kind of systems that were already in place before any idea of COVID-19. We have hospitals that sometimes don't even have anybody in it. It's empty pretty much. So when those things come into action, then all of a sudden this hospital, that hospital is now opened and in full operation, and all of these things. So in terms of those kind of things, we were pretty much, and then of course our Heritage and Stabilization Fund, which is set aside by the government because of oil and all these things, were really prepared to deal with what's happening now, to be pumping funding into the different social services and all of these things. Not all the Caribbean islands have that kind of privilege, that kind of money set aside. You know what I mean? So if it was for that, we would have been in a way different situation at this point in time.
It'd be remiss of us not to ask you about the 34 people in Barbados, and how did people feel in general the government handled that?
There was mixed feelings because one side of the mixed feelings would be, how on earth could the government leave these people out there, knowing that these people have families, they be under a lot of mental pressure, and they would love, and if it was us, we would have wanted to come home also. And the other side is that is agreeing with the Prime Minister in saying we are protecting, and the last time we let some people in, which was a cruise ship, that ended up with 60-something people being infected, and they're quarantined for a month. So some people will be like, no, leave them there and let the government continue to pay for them, because they are not isolated as the only people locked out because they're in Barbados and because of where they've been, but there are people all over the world from Trinidad and Tobago that desire to come home, and they can't, and they are not allowed to. But the government continues to pay for hotel accommodations and food and whatever their needs are at this point in time. From Venezuela, go back to Barbados, Puerto Rico, and so on. So it's a weird situation because the update now is that I believe they're coming home or they're on their way. They put their own monies to 25,000 US to charter a flight to come. I'm not sure how far along that story. I haven't been.
As of now, I think they were just waiting for final confirmation from Trinidad that they can leave and come home.
To land,
to land and stuff.
Yeah, the landing. So the problem is not that the government didn't want to pay for the flights to bring them home. And it seems to be a little deeper than that. So we all wait to see how this is going to really unfold.
I think that's a tricky one, though. I kind of err on the side of, I think with the ones in Barbados, I'm not sure about the others in different parts of the world, but the ones in Barbados is a bit tricky for me because they were actually there.
Yeah.
And in a way, when I look at it from just outside looking in without all the full details that might be reported in Trinidad media, but when I look at it, you go, but if they're there and you've got the processes in place, you could have taken them and quarantined them straight away, just as how Barbados would have done. True. And so then the question is, were they really as prepared as we could be?
Yeah, and definitely, and I agree. I don't know if it was a situation of let us try to handle what we have now and try to see if we could make it through or see how the system would handle the ones that are already infected and then see how it goes. But it's been a little bit of a moment now that they're still out there. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it begs the question what the motives are really. So we all see how it really unfolds. So I wish them the best. Oh.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
I know you spend a lot of your time, as I mentioned earlier, going across the Caribbean, Curtis. How do you think the Caribbean as a region will learn from this experience in terms of the infrastructure, the healthcare, the alliances? How do you think we as a region could learn from this pandemic?
I think firstly, the cultural makeup of how we see life and how the situation has to be the first part. Now, this is not going to happen overnight. I think it will take a couple of years as well. And because, as you know, culture changes with a generation and rather than some information. But when you look at the Japanese and the Chinese, how they handle situations like this, they are very quick to respond and they all move in sync like ants. You know what I mean? Everybody going in direction. But that is not how we deal with things. Our government our police service is playing catch and mouse at this point in time. Grab people and get them back inside as much as possible. And that's the situation in Trinidad. People are sneaking out to go to the beaches.
I saw that.
Go to have COVID-19 parties. There are so many COVID-19 parties. Yeah,
it's crazy. How can you have a COVID-19 party when you know what's going on?
Of course. Very, very popular. And the government has been using manpower in the police service to try to shut these everywhere. And the country and the population, I'm sure other places in the Caribbean too, were literally kicking up against shutting things down like bars and stuff because they feel like somebody's trying to control them. And that is a whole mentality. So we could learn from this whole situation that it's not only our needs and our personal needs that need to be addressed or attended to at that point in time, but more of a collective thing. And we should deal with situations more in a collective manner as a nation first and then as the Caribbean region. For example, I'm not sure what the Caribbean or CARICOM has in place in terms of funding for other islands or smaller islands that have no at this point in time because their tourism has been cut off. And Trinidad is just continuing as normal because they have the money is just there because of oil and all these different things. But what about the other? I can imagine the situation in some of these islands. So it's quite interesting. I think a lot more coming together has to come together and more of a Caribbean identity rather than an individual identity. So we could picture smaller islands like different states that need help just like we are. So if I have oil, we have oil kind of thing. So and that is my idea. I hope that we would learn more about cohesion or have that kind of outlook after this whole thing is over.
Yeah, that's great.
And for you personally, Curtis, as a creative, how are you using this time? Are you finding that you have time to be more creative, or is there an element of missing your team, your place of work that's infringing on your creativity? How is it? How are you dealing with it?
It's honestly, at the very beginning, maybe the first 2 weeks, you can't do anything. You can't even think straight because you're totally out of your element. And I've used, well, between the time to now, I think it could be like 4 weeks we're inside now. I've done many quarantine concerts online.
All right.
And I have another one. When is it? Wednesday. And so we still are able to reach out. Ministers like Samuel Medas from Guyana, he's online every day, every morning, singing for an hour, and there are hundreds of people that are really attached or using that to really get through. So we're trying our best to use what we have. I'm sure I'm not seeing a lot of artists doing more releasing stuff. We can't go to the studio. People are writing, but for me, I am spending the time trying to really develop myself personally. I think it's a luxury. This time is a luxury. We could see it as to look internal and really build or pay attention to the things that have not been addressed and then build from that point. I've been using to learn a new instrument. I've been willing to learn a new language. You know, try to really become a better version of myself by the end of it all. So that's as much as I can at this point in time. Yeah?
Which language are you learning out of interest?
I'm getting the Spanish going because literally Trinidad and Tobago in a few years will be bilingual. So I don't want to be left behind that move.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's a good move, actually.
Yeah. So trying to get a happen.
And if you were going to leave a word of encouragement, Curtis, to people across the Caribbean, what would that be?
It would definitely be to hold on. Now, when somebody says to hold on, you really have to pay attention to not your grip, but what you're actually gripping onto. You know what I mean? We could literally be gripping onto a thread that could pop, or a rope, or a piece of steel that could really hold us while we hold on. So I would encourage everybody listening, viewing, to really hold on to Christ. He is the solid rock in which we stand. And even in the midst of all of this, he's kept me, he's kept my mind in the midst of it all, and he's keeping my family together. So he is that glue that is keeping everybody together. And if, as I said, hold on, but hold on to the unmovable and the unshakable. Yeah.
Good advice.
That's good.
That's excellent word. You know, final word from me would be, listen, to thank you so much for taking some time to speak to us. Stay safe, you and your family, and continue to abide under the Lord. Man, you guys are doing a great job over there, and always fully admirable of your work.
Yeah,
The
man.
redeemed of the Lord say so.
Indeed. Thanks a lot, Curtis. This has been really, really, really good. Thanks a lot, man. Thanks for joining our living room.
Yeah, man. Mark, everybody, we're going to see you guys soon. We'll see you all next year.
We can see you next year.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
Take care, brother.
All right, thanks, dude. Thanks, man.
Go.
Right, that was pretty good.
Great perspective there from Trinidad.
Yeah,
it's good.
Really good. I mean, even things like the quote-unquote rainy day fund that they're able to have in place. But again, as he says, oil. Not everyone in the Caribbean has that.
Yeah.
But apart from what is not necessarily what you have, is what you do with it too. So clearly, they've taken it, and times like these, they're able to, write it out, so to speak. hopefully without
Well, I
too
noticed
much internal turmoil.
Yeah, I noticed in the news there was a piece where they put a committee together to start looking ahead for what happens post COVID,
Yeah,
and
so
they were talking a lot about how Trinidad, because of its oil resources, Tobago more with tourism, but Trinidad with its oil resources, they feel as though they might be better positioned. But who knows what the new economy is going to look like as well? Which was a question that was being posed.
Yeah.
I'm in two minds with these sort of conversations about the post-COVID scenario. The future. Sometimes I feel as though we haven't properly dealt with the present yet to be making these but of course we have to start thinking about the future and positioning ourselves with hope that there is a positive future here.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I always think let's try to put the right parameters in place that we can use to tune and sort of regulate this present before we start to stretch it and make predictions about the future.
I think the thing is though is that the present, how long the present is going to last is a bit unknown. So if you stay too much focused on that, then you've got to still put things in place to deal with after. And
that is true, yeah.
And that's where people's heads are beginning to turn, and that's why you begin to hear, even here in the UK, the question is now beginning to turn to exit strategy. What is the exit strategy? So not just dealing with the daily death toll all the time. I've been watching the briefs, and now journalists are more and more asking about, okay, we know where we are, we know we're dealing with it. How do we get out of it? And what comes next? What's going to happen after? That kind of stuff.
So I'm no politician or no expert in this area, first of all. But what I think would be advisable is to define clear what are the exit parameters. And I think there's a start now on defining what does exit look like. And I think even that is a difficult thing because there's so many variables there that you have to play with, whether you're looking at it statistically or in very hard figures or just a checklist. It is something that is difficult to grapple with. But I'd love to see the conversation there where the governments are trying to say this is our list of things that must be in place before we open up the gates on lockdown. I think that would give people a bit more clarity.
But that's happened. That happened here. The last briefing, didn't it? I think the last.
There were these
last
sort of
two briefings.
points.
They gave 5 points of this is what needs to happen before we start to move on, as in open the gates and slowly start to move back to some amount of normality.
I think there's a lot of discussion about future and what the new normal is. People would say what that needs to look like, and at the same time, there still seems to be this drive towards getting back to the normal. So unless within the political hemisphere there are people who are prepared to challenge that new normal and make things different, we are in danger of rushing back to where we left off. And I think
trying to go back there.
There's a feeling that people don't want to get back there, but we want to try and salvage some good from this crisis that we can just carry on with.
I think normal is going to change. I don't think there's any doubt about what normal. For me, when I say normal, I don't think going back to what was. I think normal for me is being able to move around as I please. I think that's probably what a lot of people are thinking. But I think when you think normal in terms of work, going to work, commuting, how we work, working from home, how we communicate, companies deciding, hang on, do I need to pay this $20,000 in rent for this building now, or could I actually scale down space, let people work from home, and all this stuff I thought we had to do.
We don't.
I'm doing it. I'm not doing it, and the world hasn't crumbled, so to speak, because of that, outside of COVID-19 and stuff. So I think that's normal is going to be different. So I think when I say get back to normal, I always do this, normal. Normal for me just means the kids going back to school and we being able to move around as we like.
Or it's get back to get to do and not have to do.
There we go. That's why you use the writer, man. That's
my slogan.
That's why you use the writer and the poet, man. Exactly. Get back to get to do and not have to do.
Have to do. Yeah.
But that was a good discussion. That was a good discussion.
Yeah,
so
that was good.
just want to thank everybody for joining us. We're going to do these every now and then, invite you guys to come into our living room and invite other people to come into our living room. So hope you guys had a good time. Until next time.
I did.
Over and out.
See you.
All right, have you finished with space there? I could cut that off. I'm just going to cut off in
Excellent.
2 seconds.
Good.
That was good.
You want to get back together for 10 minutes after this?
Yeah, that'd be good.